Hey, John.
Oh, Nick.
Fiona.
Who else? Fiona is here.
Hello.
Hi, Fiona.
Hey.
Wow. So
Whoa.
we're reaching across the world.
This is great. We have Fiona is way down under.
Yeah.
Nick, you are over there.
Yes.
And I'm just south of the Mason-Dixon line in the United States. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the miracle of technology here. I love it.
We used to sort of spreading the clock wide, going transatlantic all the time. This is the first time I think we've been simultaneously recording on different dates.
Yes.
And we want to thank you for getting up early, Fiona. This really is.
No
this
problem.
is no hardship for me. It's 3:30 here. You know, this is not a hardship. But everybody knows the bearded gnome. They got the troll under the bridge. That's me. And Nick, the giant of Eastern Wales. Nobody knows who you are, Fiona, and how you got here. I mean, I'm the guy that read Harry Potter because he read to my kids, and Nick came through the scarcely ever used door of casual vacancy into the world of
the genius of casual vacancy, if you don't mind.
Wow, I tell you, I've heard this so many times in the last 6 weeks. I'm beginning to believe it. Anyway, Fiona, how did you come to, serious striker land? Or just maybe you've been a Harry Potter fan from the very beginning. Tell us about yourself.
My children loved Harry Potter. My favorite character in Harry Potter was Professor Snape.
Yeah.
Interestingly.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of the Strike series, I didn't realize to start with that it was Rowling that had written the books, so I didn't discover that initially. So as soon as I started reading, I thought this feels very familiar to me, and then I looked into it, and sure enough, it was J.K. herself that was the author. I really didn't discover the books until after the first 7 had been published. So
my
the
goodness!
Wow.
Yeah. So the lead up to book 8 was the first time that I was waiting, like everyone else was waiting, for the book to be released. So that was all very exciting.
Yeah.
And I guess once we had that cliffhanger in book 7 and, the wait for book 8, I needed to find out who else was discussing the books. So I started looking around online to see what was happening, what people were saying, and I came across Hogwarts Professor and Rolling Studies on YouTube.
Wow.
So that was my introduction to what you do and what you talk about, and I guess just the things that you talk about, golden threads, chiastic structure, mythology, meaning of names, and the Christian symbolism were things that I had never thought about when I'd read book series before, and it really opened my mind to looking more into her work. And it's been a great source of inspiration to listen to you talk about it, and I'm learning so much because I'm a pretty basic reader. I read for enjoyment and probably haven't thought about books that way before. So, it's been a delight. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Fiona.
Thank you. Yeah, girl.
Yeah.
You're that's this basically what Nick and I do, and what I've been doing for I shouldn't talk about that. I shouldn't mention I've been doing this for 25 years. People are like, wow, that is a long time. It's exactly for people like you. You're the avatar. You're the person that we do this for. But here's the thing, much like Sandy Hope and Ed Shardlow and Nick and I'm the dean of Harry Potter scholars, and what that really means is I get to be the talent scout. I meet people write to me and say, well, what about this? And I'm like, God, I never thought of that. That's brilliant. And I invite the person to say something more about it. And eventually they wind up, hosting me when I come to visit Wales. Now that and really when Nick and I get to South Australia, we are definitely coming to your place. So I'm sorry, that's going to be a date.
We're very house trained. Don't worry, we're very house trained.
I should tell you that my bishop is in Melbourne, so we're actually talking about going there next spring, which would be winter for you guys, but whatever. And believe me, Fiona, if I get to Melbourne and I don't see you, I'm going to be hurt because I've come the greater distance. Yeah, I expect you to make the final.
I will be there. No problem.
Anyway, it's funny to me. You saw me doing the shock that really you've only been reading Strike for a couple of years, because the stuff that you're sending to us on the Moderator Backchannels, which is, if you want access to the Moderator Backchannels out there, people, all you have to do is write to me at my email address and say, John, what about this? Or continue to put comments on the comment threads. Anyway, we've been corresponding since May this year about various things. We talked at some length about your ideas about incest, Fiona. Maybe we shouldn't. People in your neighborhood know that you're an incest and literature expert here, but
somebody may be egging on all of us in the fandom to consider incest. So you don't get away scot-free, John.
Okay. Anyway, I was reviewing this last night, getting ready for this conversation. And I thought that incest show was one of the best shows we ever did. And especially the write-up had all the breakdowns, and the whole golden thread was laid out. I was like, wow, this is pretty good. I also found out that in June, when you wrote us with another idea, another timeline, that I said, wow, I think that maybe Ted is this relationship to that person. And I thought this was the brand new insight. Well, Nick, we had discussed that on the incest conversation already. I was like, wow, I don't even reference my own stuff. Anyway, but anyway, Fiona, you're brilliant, and the reason we've invited you on isn't just because we're looking for special guests. It's because the stuff that Nick and I were talking about your idea. Why not invite you on to actually talk about the idea? So here you are, and thank you again for getting up to do this. So now this is, I've got to get down here to this. Okay, on June 10th, and you've discussed a lot of stuff, and maybe we'll have time to talk about that today. This is kind of a short show here. But on June 10th, you sent us the biggest thing you've sent us, which is the Leda Strike life timeline first. Everything that we know about Leda Strike in the books. And that's down below, folks. If you want to see Fiona's Leda Strike timelines, down below. And then you followed that up. This is also down below. The means before motive examination of Leda's death. So first I want to say means before motive is always what Strike and Robin refer to this as, but really it should be means and opportunity, and with heavy emphasis on opportunity. I think Strike kind of rolls opportunity into means.
And they don't always practice what they preach either.
No. But Fiona does in her examination. She gives us means before motive and then makes sure she covers opportunity as well. But I want to ask first, why did you bother to put together the Leda Strike life timeline, and how did you track down the dates?
I got more interested in Leda as a result of what we learnt in book 8. I mean, obviously she's come up in all the books in some fashion, some recall. But I guess the suspicion of her death and the speculation about her identity, the identity of the murderer, there's been so much discussion in various forums about it. And I guess I just
You don't think she committed suicide?
No.
You don't think she...
No.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't.
It's kind of a gimme that's just... Anyway, forget. I shouldn't need to
Yeah.
explain. Nick has this outlandish theory that Charlotte did not commit suicide, and we have been, raked over the coals, as they say, because we have this outrageous theory that she certainly committed suicide, and she's going to disappear from the story. We're not going to see any more about Charlotte, and that's the only reason I interrupted you to say, "Oh, Leda didn't commit suicide." Forgive me. That was just a poke at people.
It's warming. It's warming to consider. I think the theory is gaining traction. I get the last time I was on, and the time before I was on the Three Broomsticks podcast, I was in a minority of one that considered that a possibility. Yeah, but I think things are starting to change now.
But Leda Strike, you're absolutely right, has from the get-go been assumed not to have been a suicide.
Yep.
Back to your things. Forgive me for interrupting.
No, that's fine. It's also accepting Cormoran's point of view that he doesn't believe that his mother committed suicide.
No.
And I guess the method of suicide doesn't line up to everything that he knew and others knew about her. So I just decided that I would go back through the text and pinpoint all the relevant things that were about her early life to examine that whole question of incest, and then the latter part of her life that examined what she was doing and who was in her orbit in her latter years. So I really didn't look in any detail at her life when she had the young, Cormoran and Lucy and was moving around, because I didn't feel that was going to give me any sort of firm evidence on either question of incest versus suicide murder. So I just systematically went back through the books, and I'm thinking if Rowling Galbraith plays fair, the answer has to be in the text. And it has to be in the text for people that, like me, that just, I guess, haven't before examined the books with all the other tools that you examine her work.
Yeah. So I think what Rowling's aiming to do is give us, so that we feel like we've been played fair, is give us the clues that we can recognize in hindsight. So it can't be so hidden that we can't. No. Oh yeah, sort of like the one I always refer to is the tiara that's in the Room of Requirement.
Yes.
And we never realize that it's the diadem at all. Never even consider it until we learn about the diadem, and then it's the oh yeah. So
well, it's the same with the sea holly for me, because obviously I'm not from the UK, so not familiar with that plant, even though I have an environmental background. I didn't twig at all to that being a fairly key reference point to
So what surprises did you find?
Did you want me to talk about the means before motive and set that out, or do you want me to talk about?
Well, just I'm looking right now, and people can scroll down and see this. Your Leda Strike timeline. You got her born in 1954. Okay, yeah. She'd be 72 if she were alive today, right? And Ted and Peggy Leda, their mother died when Ted was 16 and Peggy was 2. Okay, that's we got that from Hallmarked Man. Then we get Peggy's forcible separation from Ted and from Trevick at the age of 2.
Yep.
Then Peggy lives with her grandmother. Ted stayed with her father. Then Ted leaves home for national service. You've got age 18 ? Because we don't really know, right?
I'm not quite sure at what age you can do national service. So I speculated, I guess, based on what happens in Australia, it'd be 18.
Yeah, so that's true also for the UK in that timeline. So to be a full soldier, it has to be 18. You can join up as a boy soldier, so sort of a trainee soldier at 16, but you need parental permission.
Yep.
And there are restrictions on what you can do in that category of service until you become 18.
Well, and I assume
Okay.
that Trevick wouldn't have given him permission because he wanted him to stay in Cornwall.
That's my assumption
Yep.
as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So to continue with your timeline, he returns from national service after Trevick dies, and you're guessing that's around age 25.
Mm-hmm.
Married Joan, and then Peggy at that point would still only be age 11. All right.
Yep.
7 years later, Peggy Leda, at age 18, escapes her maternal grandmother, runs away with the youth who came to Trove at the fair, changed her name to Leda. Ted, at that point, is 32 years old. Leda marries a youth from the fair when she was 18, run out on her husband for 2 weeks. New dress, change of name. That's good. We got
Yep.
that from the text.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
1990, question mark. Leda brought Shanker, age 16, who'd been stabbed, home to the squat, and she was living in with her family. Next year, she meets Jeff Whitaker. 92, Nick and Strike have their joint 18th birthday party. 92, Leda falls pregnant, Strike's 18th year. Leda marries Jeff Whitaker in 92. Switchborn is in December of 92. Leda dies in 94, age 40, 39 or 40, right? When Lucy is age 19 and Strike is age 20. That's kind of a weird. Yeah, there's a mistake in the books there about that.
Yeah. So I checked back at a few different points through the series to see that age, and it definitely says that Lucy was 19 and at college.
Yeah.
But it also said that when Strike went to court to give evidence, it said that he was 20. So I'm assuming that there is an issue with the dates, but that's what the text said. So that's what I've put.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. I mean, Louise Freeman has her timelines for Cormoran and Robin, and she highlights the Lucy Strike age problem pretty thoroughly.
Yes.
I think we can put a link for Louise's timeline as well down below. It's always worth referencing. It is sort of a gold standard work on that.
That's right. So then we get to the theory of Leda's death, and we've gone through that timeline, and you've listed that 3 suspects had the means to kill Leda.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, I want to tell you that breaks with almost every other person, because if I'm reading this correctly, you're saying that the person had to have access to drugs and familiarity with drugs.
Yep.
That's your means criteria. Okay, so who are your 3 suspects?
So members of the Ricci family or a gang member of that family.
Wow.
Because they were, they mainly were into pornography and pimping, but they did also run drugs.
Yeah.
So that was my number 1. Secondly was Jeff Whitaker, and third was Shanker.
Wow. Okay. Now,
This
is where
they had access to drugs or they used drugs.
Yeah.
That's right. This is, but that last piece is where my mind exploded. It's where when you put Shanker on the list of suspects, because the Riccis, they're terrible, and Whitaker, they're terrible too. Him and his gang. But Shanker, we've learned to love Shanker. He's the criminal that, with the heart of gold. He loved Leda Strike. And yet you put him on the suspect list because he qualified, because he had access to drugs.
Yes.
And when you wrote this up in your note to us, and I'll include that with your permission.
Yep.
You mentioned that the scene that I'd forgotten, and that is when Strike remembers who Ricci is. Leo, what was his?
Niccolo Ricci.
There's Niccolo, but he remembers the father because of his ring.
Yep.
And wasn't he Leo? Wasn't he? Anyway. He remembered making a delivery for Shanker to the Ricci family. And Shanker has, he says, "You and your effing memory." And he's unnerved that Strike remembers Shanker's association with Ricci and drugs.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that changes everything. And it's fair. It's in the text.
Yep.
Because forgive me, looking at if you had said to me, okay, the only suspects we can consider are those who have access to drugs, I would have thought of Jeff Whitaker. You're expanding that out now to Shanker and to the Riccis because of that passage.
Yep.
That's forgive me, Fiona. That's gold. That's gold
that's both brilliant and brave, because frankly, if the answer is the Riccis, we're all asking the wrong questions.
All right, so we get down to the motive. What could the,
Yep.
let's go to opportunity first. I'm gonna skip down to the thing below this. And you write Jeff Whitaker. He had the opportunity. He lived at the squat. He's a drug user. He knows how to make someone die of a heroin overdose. That's done. Shanker frequently visited the squat. I think he was still living in the squat. Doesn't he promise Strike that he's going to watch over Leda?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he does go off on trips.
That's true.
So he wasn't actually at the squat on the day that allegedly he wasn't at the squat on the day that she died. Yep.
And then there's members of the Ricci family, or the Ricci gang member, the local drug dealers making a delivery. They knew about Shanker's relationship with Leda, and certainly they would be able to track her down. Now that's so the opportunity. So we have means and opportunity. Same three checks there. Putting Whitaker at the top, Shanker right there, and Ricci being grandfathered in, or I don't know, the tail of the phoenix in with Shanker, because of that association we know that they have through drug dealing. Now this is great. So the motive, coming after means or drugs and opportunity. You said the motive was for Whitaker was that the Riccis were owed money from Whitaker, and they killed Leda as a warning to him. That's great.
Yeah.
Then we get the Riccis killed Leda as well. You have to explain this one, because in your note you say rival gang to Shanker's cousins.
Yeah, so the first time that Shanker is introduced to the family is the result of a knife fight. So Shanker was with his cousins, and there was a fight with a rival gang, and Shanker got stabbed in the thigh, and I think on his face as well, because that's how he got the scar.
Yeah.
And so he was with his cousins fighting a rival gang. So that connection of the rival gang, if that's the Riccis or whoever, Leda was killed as a warning, because they worked out that he had become close to her and was like a mother.
That's great, and that makes sense. But there, that gives a different suspect. Now we got the rival gang as a suspect as well. They would have drugs, and they would have the opportunity as well. So we're going to expand that out. That this gang thing. I thought you meant that the Riccis, because of that they were angry with Shanker because of a blown drug deal or some confusion in a delivery, and he was in hiding from them, and so they killed Leda as a warning to him.
No, it could be that as well. The rival gang could be the Riccis.
Okay, there we go. Those two could overlap. I get it. And then you say what that Whitaker had his own motives, and he did the murder because he wanted Leda. He wasn't getting any money from her. He wanted out of this.
Yep.
All right. So
the only disadvantage with that last means motive opportunity of Whitaker is that's sort of what we're all expecting. And
oh no, absolutely. But I mean, I couldn't ignore him
absolutely.
in my list. And when I say drug induced, I think I'm implying that if he was in a drug induced state of mind, he could have murdered her and actually not recall that he did it because of the state of mind that he was in because of the drugs.
Yeah, that's very possible, and that would be a surprise. So that's I think that could work. I'm always conscious that Rowling never gives us really what we're expecting. There's always some little twist.
Yeah. Now, I'll be fair, I don't want it to be Shanker, but
no.
because I like the character as well. But yeah, he was he meets the criteria.
Yeah. But there's
I guess this is where you reference in your notes that Troubled Blood chapter 27, where Strike recalls helping Shanker make a delivery in 92 or 93, and Shanker's reaction to Strike's recall of that is because if your theory is correct, and I'm leaning that way pretty hard right now, Fiona, is that he knows what happened. He wants to blame Whitaker largely to because he hates Whitaker, because everybody hates Whitaker. It's if you don't hate Whitaker, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
But he's never said anything anything to Strike about his problems with the Riccis. He doesn't want that to be enter into the conversation.
No.
That's so good. That's so good. Because Shanker knows about Barnaby's, and he knows that Knowles was dispatched there. That could be because he still has a relationship with the Riccis. Remember how much he told Strike to stay away from the Riccis?
Yeah.
Don't mess with these guys. They're crazy dangerous. They also would mean that Strike would find out about his relationship with them. Strike sees Marco Ricci later in Hallmarked Man making a delivery to Barnaby's. If I'm following your notes right, Shanker's panic about Strike investigating the Riccis in Troubled Blood isn't out of concern for his adopted brother, but from the fear that Corman will learn of his relationship with the family. And as you speculate that Leda was killed by them as a message to young Shanker not to cross them. Shanker testifies against Whitaker to scapegoat him, and perhaps because he knew the Riccis would kill him if he told the truth. Now, this is a great plot twist.
Yeah.
And one that explains the whole Knowles plot line in Hallmarked Man and the police's interest in Strike's source of information. Shanker is being presented there through the eyes of the Met as a dangerous criminal to all of us readers who are blind, as are Strike and Robin, to the possibility that Shanker was the natural suspect in Leda's death because of his proximity to nihilist forces, the Riccis. The delivery Strike made for Shanker to Ricci and Shanker's response to Strike's memory is a critical catch in this. Well spotted, Fiona. This is great because that connection means that Shanker, might have done it. Of course, I don't think so. I really think he's sincere in his love for that and his hatred for Whitaker. But I think that he also is terrified that his continued relationship with the Riccis is going to be outed, and Strike will begin to connect the dots about why his mother was murdered. Woo!
I love the way that this beautifully illustrates why Hallmarked Man needed to be as complicated as it did. So, if we only had the Riccis as a callback to previous books, it would have been out there in plain sight. But we've had callbacks to every book in Hallmarked Man. So if this theory is true, it sets us up for giving us the information we need to solve the mystery without it being in plain sight. Because it was by the time we got to Ricci appearing at Barnaby's, well, we'd seen Chiara Porter and well, we've seen everybody. It's like a greatest hits parade. There's Ricci. If it was just Ricci, everyone would be going, what does this mean? And it takes someone brilliant to spot that and bring it out. Thank you so much, Fiona.
Yeah, I mean, what Nick is saying is, it's in plain sight.
Yeah.
But instead of being a solo shot where he's featured, he's in the cavalcade of strike celebrities that we've seen from other things. Oh, there's Chiara Porter. Can Gisame be far behind? Oh, and Johnny Rope on the horizon. Look at that. And we're all excited about these people. I remember him. And yet we don't say to ourselves, "Wow, Shanker really was." We strikes memory about that deal that he had with Shanker to the Riccis. There's a connection there. And then Shanker flipping out about Strike investigating the Riccis. Oh, no, buddy. Taboo. Don't go there. I mean, really? Who is Shanker really afraid of? Well, the guy that killed Strike is who he's afraid of.
It's also the timing of the reference to 92, 93. So from the time that Shanker becomes part of their family and up until the time of Leda's death, that trip happened in between. So that's really what I looked at and thought, I think this is significant. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes. I love it. We had to come up for a good name for this, Nick. We had this theory, because this is going to try to Fiona's fine. I don't know. I recall the Adelaide theory. I can't even pronounce the name of the city. Forgive me.
Adelaide, right? Yeah.
I love it. I would live in Perth, I think, because I couldn't mispronounce Perth. Anyway, back to that. So that's great stuff, and there's more stuff, and we've got good. We've got some more time here, so we can go back and do this. Because you didn't just send us that, Fiona. We didn't just bring you on because you've solved the Leda Strike death. And that's such a great thing. I remember when Half-Blood Prince came out, and a woman on a thread at a Barnes and Noble had a bulletin board type conversation they ran, and I was the guy that they had moderating the board and stuff. And this woman came in, and believe me, I did everything I could to find her. All I had was her avatar name. She basically said, Snape's potion is what saved Dumbledore and Half-Blood Prince. That potion that he mentioned in book 1, the stopper death theory. And she mentions this as an aside on this thread in the middle of Nowhereville in terms of the internet. And I was like, that's it. That solves all the problems. That's how Snape is involved in this. This is beautiful. And so I started promoting the stopper death theory. And people falsely credited me with the theory, but it became universally known, so much so that some people were disappointed when Deathly Hallows came out, and that proved in fact to be the case. They were like, "Oh, well, we already knew that. I think, Fiona, you have ruined the ending of this, and so congratulations. You will now be despised by fandom universly. It's a good thing you live far away from it. We do have Nick, how many?
This will just as the stopper death theory did, and the murder of Charlotte this will spawn wonderful debates across the internet, and this is why we're interested in discussing it. It's not because we all agree. It's because
100%. Yeah.
It's
about stress testing a theory, isn't it?
Yes,
There we
right.
go. That's I mean, just to cover my tracks here, because I like to say we don't just talk about the latest book and the book on the horizon. We're really more into golden threads and all these things. We have a much bigger view than most of fandom here at Hogwarts Professor. And yet here we are like salivating. Look at this great theory, you know. But back to the perspective that Fiona just brought up is to say that the only reason this makes sense is because of misdirection.
Yeah.
You know, that it can't be
Yeah.
what we think it's going to be. And Rowling is a master of this. How has she hidden this inside this thing? Who actually killed this thing? And Troubled Blood, I still think is her best book. And to have a crime family that was featured so prominently in book 5, the end of book 5 is really the halfway point of a 10-book series. So the meaning being in the middle, that they were there then, and now they've been featured in the first of the trilogy, which is going to close out this series. Boy, I'm excited about it. All right, phew. Fiona's fine.
I guess the other thing with the Riccis and Barnaby's, like I'm re-listening to Hallmarked Man at the moment, and I don't think the whole thing with Barnaby's got resolved before the end of the book. Like Strike had passed the information on to Iverson and Northmore to say the location of Barnaby's, and that he alluded to his source without actually identifying Shanker. To me, that's a loose end. So I guess what I'm really interested in with book 9 is whether or not there's a carryover of that Carnival Street in Haringway, and what happens there. So I'm looking a little bit more into the text with that, because I have a theory around who's been following Robin. So yeah.
Oh wow.
Stay tuned.
So
we're gripping the edges of our seats to see what else you can bring us, Fiona.
Yeah,
All right.
well, whatever is in the text. Yeah.
This is great. We've got a few minutes here, so I'm going to try to get through your other timeline, and that is the timeline of Charlotte Campbell's death. Let's not call it a murder. Let's not call it a suicide. Let's call it a death, so everybody will stay on board here. You referenced the incest video that we did, and you said your comments regarding Fleetwood and Charlotte's murder at about 1 hour into the video got me thinking, if Charlotte was murdered, just for the purpose of speculation, if Charlotte was murdered, her murderer was likely present at Sasha Lagarde's birthday party. Now, I'd love the fact you say likely. I would have said may have been, but okay, was likely present at Sasha Lagarde's birthday party. You said that you checked out several sources, especially Running Grave and Hallmarked Man. You went to Strike Fans. You went to you said the Farting Faculty Lounge. They're not a farting faculty. It's a farting sofa.
Okay.
Well, we don't know, John. We don't know, John.
We don't know. We don't know if the name is faculty. All right. Anyway,
make that correction before you publish it. Anyway. Apologies to Louise.
And you went to Hogwarts Professor, and you put together a rough timeline.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go through this. I'm going to run through this as fast as I can. Saturday, 21 May 2016, 10 years ago, last month, Sasha Lagarde's birthday. You get Valentine and Cosima Lancaster at the party. Fleetwood gate crashes. He and Valentine have some kind of confrontation. And you say, I presume Charlotte and Amelia would have been at the party as they are Sasha's half siblings, but there's no evidence to support this. And oddly enough, Strike does not ask about who else was at the party, even though he knows exactly what you know. So it's a mysterious thing that Strike didn't ask who was at this party. All right, so Friday, 27 May, Strike listens to Charlotte's voicemail messages. Tuesday, 14 June, Charlotte is arrested for assault on Landon Dormer, the mysterious billionaire hotelier. probably our image of Donald Trump. Forgive me. I don't think she has to think about the Hiltons, but all right. Thursday, 23 June, Strike deletes 3 voicemails from Charlotte before heading up to his attic flat. And then Charlotte Campbell dies, either by murder or by committing suicide. All right. Friday. So Friday, you got that Friday, 23 December. Okay. So 5 months later, 6 months later, when Strike goes to the National Theater to interview Sacha Lagarde, now we're shifting from Running Grave to Hallmarked Man.
Hallmarked Man, yep.
Sacha says he was shooting a film in Mexico, Conquest, when all this business with him and Desi, Rupert and Decima, happened. Now, you point out that you're unsure when Sacha was in Mexico, before or after his birthday party. If he was filming in Mexico after his birthday, he may not have been in London when Charlotte died. If filming in Mexico finished before his birthday, he would have had to have been on the short list of murder suspects. Now, this is great. As Charlotte loved tension, conflict, and Rose, she lived on that, right? She may have overheard the confrontation between Rupert and Valentine. Or Valentine tells him about it later, right? Presuming the confrontation was about DNA testing and Dino Lancaster, being Rupert's biological father, maybe the DNA results also contained information about other unknown and related people with a similar DNA profile to Rupert and the Lancasters. And that includes Dino, Valentine, Decima, and Cosima. And Rupert threatened Valentine with this information. Valentine's scared of his father, Dino, and wouldn't want the DNA paternity information to reach him. Okay, this is where it gets rich. Because you've speculated before, as we covered in our incest thing, that Charlotte may be Dino's daughter. That Dino Lancaster marries Tara after she divorces Campbell. Perhaps they got divorced because she was already engaged with Dino, and Dino is the father of Charlotte Campbell. That was the thing we talked about in the incest thing. And that's a great theory too. If Valentine Lancaster, as a possible Charlotte abuser, incestuous half-brother, finds out he is the biological father of Charlotte's children and realizes that Charlotte has found this out, that could be a strong motive for murder, particularly as he was appalled by the incest between Decima and Rupert. Now, this is golden. Okay. So just to lay all that out, that now we're shifting from Leda's death to Charlotte's death. And your theory is that Charlotte and Amelia were at that party. They overhear what's going on. Charlotte, understanding her relationship with Valentine, may understand that this incestuous thing has really gotten out of control. Now Dino is grandfather on both sides if Valentine is the father of her children. And you've mentioned before in other notes that you're looking for, I always want to call him Draco Malfoy, Diego Ross, to enter back into the story, that he may have killed Charlotte when he finds out that Charlotte cuckolded him with Valentine. He thought it was Strike, but instead it was the Lancaster father. And that Valentine might have also been the father of Charlotte's baby with Strike, which she insists is his, but as she was only lying when she was breathing or moving her lips, we have to assume that she was lying to Strike about that child being his. Wow. I'm sorry I ran through that so quick. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, Nick, I want to ask you a question. Because my head, I just went through the thing. I just read the thing aloud.
Yeah.
Is your head spinning as fast as mine is?
It is.
About all the incest connections possible there?
But we know it's a strong thread in Rowling's works. You know, it's the main plot point, you could argue, in Hallmarked Man. It's all possible, and you know that whole group of families is borderline plainly incestuous anyway. I mean, the number of times they swap wives and husbands, and you know, they're all step siblings and half siblings, and it seems believable. It seems believable, but I think something that complex, without the ability to present it as forcefully and simply as Fiona has done, that John's read out in a couple of minutes, really. I think to be accepted as plot points, I think we're looking at a series of releases across the next two books. So I think we should find out if we're on the right track from the next book, which pleases me, because I was hoping in with the Charlotte is murdered theory that we'd get something a little bit more definitive in the previous book, and we didn't really. I think we got some good pointers, but there was nothing definitive there.
Well, actually, we did get all Fiona's just given us all the evidence.
Yeah.
But we didn't. I mean, we just it's so crowded.
Yeah.
And it's underneath this profoundly disturbing umbrella of incest, adultery and incest. Now, just a quick aside here, because we get accused of dredging the lake or whatever. We're not saying that Rowling had incestuous relationships.
No.
We're not saying that she was attacked by her father in the shed, and that's why she tore it down when she bought the property. We're not. That's not where we're going on this. We're saying that the incest thread, if we're going to go lake it all in the incest thread, it's violence against women in the most blatant form.
Yep.
Where all the power relationships and authority and everything like that, it's the worst possible sexual violation, because it's by definition rape, and it's by definition violation of someone who has absolutely no means to protect themselves or to speak for themselves. So incest is like a natural rolling plot point, because it has so many of her themes rolled up in it tight. To have adultery and selfishness, as I was saying to Nick, before we had this conversation, is anomie, is lawlessness. Anomie comes from the Greek words anomia, which means lawlessness, and it means a person that really doesn't have any reference to shame and to the unwritten laws of how human beings relate to one another, because they're not concerned about self and other. It's entirely about self. And people that commit adultery, they're in that anomia pile, and people that certainly molest children and their own children, or maybe that because of the madness of their households, they have sexual relations with their siblings because they're in such a conflicted state, and they've lost all sorts of boundaries. That kind of sexual perversion and disregard for any kind of norm, that again is right in Rowling's wheelhouse, the same way that you had anomie as the murderer in Ink Black Heart. Here we've got this now moving to the front, though, is that so Charlotte's the offspring of adultery, and she was perhaps molested by her father because he enjoyed beautiful young things when he was her stepfather. Then, when Dino moves out, Tara throws him out. Maybe when she finds out that he's been diddling her daughter, finds her more attractive than she is. Another reason why Tara would hate Charlotte. Then Dino goes on and fathers other children who become Charlotte's best buddies, and maybe out of that mad household, they become sexual partners as well. Now, again, Valentine Lancaster is the great picture of the soul allegory in the series, because his name means there's no name more associated with Cupid than Valentine. And he's a longcaster because he's a bowman. I mean, his name just screams Cupid, and he's clearly the false Cupid. He's clearly the Cupid of Eros.
It's the Remus Lupin of naming convention, isn't it?
That's
it's the Wolfman. Yes.
That. So now we have Charlotte and Valentine. If they're in relations, much like Decima and Cosima are. Maybe Dino didn't know about that, and Valentine's trying to protect this type of thing. That makes him want to kill Charlotte. We have Diego finding out that it wasn't Strike through this DNA testing. He wants to find out about all this DNA testing that Strike's doing because of Bijou, to eliminate Strike as the potential father, because you have to assume that at some point, Diego looks at his twins and says, wait a minute, these people really don't look like me.
Yep.
Or maybe just out of spite, he hates Charlotte so much. He tests them and he finds out he's not the father. Well, now Diego is on Diego's name, another great name. Diego's name means the hunter in German, the Jäger. And so I'm
gonna put an objection in there, John. So Jago is a Cornish first name, and it's the same as the Spanish root Iago. So it is James rather than Jaeger.
Okay. And how much Spanish does Rowling have, Nick? And how much German does she have? And do you really think that the Rosses would give their child a Western man name? I beg to, sorry, as a I have a good friend who's part Cornish, and I would say not likely that the English aristos are going to give their kid a name that's Anyway, so I think he's a hunter, and I think he's angry, and I think he jumps back up to the top of the list as a Charlotte killer. So we got Valentine comes to the list. We've got Diego comes back on the list as a Charlotte murderer because of this incestuous thing between Valentine and Charlotte. And then we have Rupert. Nick, I think you were the one who told me this. You thought that Rupert has to come. Was it you, Fiona, that said that Rupert has to be considered now a possible Charlotte killer? Nick, if that was you, explain that one, because I'm that,
So no, not my idea. But if it was your idea and you have a theory for Rupert killing Charlotte, do let us know in the comments down below.
I'm going to say very quickly that I think what I thought you told me, and I certainly did not come up myself here. It's not that I don't want to be blamed for this. Have we mentioned the fact that I drilled the fact that Robin was going to be sterile in Hallmarked Man? Have we mentioned that in this?
Everybody drink.
Everybody drink. We have to mention that in every show. There we go. Every show we have to talk about that. All right. But I don't want to take credit for something which is not mine, because I don't like that when people take my ideas and do this. I've read somewhere, it may have been at Farting Sofa. It's not my theory. I don't know what it's about. But what I remember is that Tara hates Charlotte, hates Dino, and there's probably something to do with the hotelier as well, because she has a relationship with hoteliers. So that's a connection between her and Landon Dormer. If she wants someone to murder Charlotte, it has to be somebody that Charlotte's been in contact with, that Charlotte knows and likes, or at least of her generation. And who better than the suave Rupert Fleetwood, who's now coming to Tara with a silver Neff that he's got to unload, and he wants to get out of the country safely with some money. And Tara says, fine, just put my daughter underwater, cut her wrists, and I'll cover all of this.
Oh, that's cold. That's cold.
So your theory, Fiona, gives us indirectly through all this incestuous relationships between, and adulterous relationships, gives us Rupert as a potential murderer, as the agent of Tara. Of course, Tara could have done it herself. We have, and then Amelia covering up by destroying the letter or fabricating a letter. Then we have Valentine, who we know is a coward. We know is trying to pin Strike with the murder, that he was the person who was responsible for it, and which doesn't make any sense. We actually know that he couldn't have done it. We're following him. We know he didn't do it. So Valentine is clearly a deluded liar. And the origin of the whole theory, well, for me at least, was that Diego is getting on board with this and is furious that Valentine is the father, and angry that Charlotte cuckolded him and didn't even cuckold him with the man that he expected to have been cuckolded by. So he just enraged, went to her place. We got to see them together and their dynamic together, and a lot of things flying through the air and violence. That Diego kills her. So, Nick, I think your theory really, through Fiona's sifting through all these things, has given us 3 very credible murderers for that suicide victim.
I couldn't agree more. And what I love about all of the theories is they're credible, they're gonna be surprising, and they're complicated enough that they can just sort of be dripped out and just slowly lead you towards that solution.
Yeah, and it sets up. We've been hearing from at other websites that shall be unnamed that this is Hallmarked Man was a poorly written book. It's the worst of the Strike series. Yes, it was a good book, but it really was a stinker, and nobody likes it. But that is to assume that Rowling didn't want you to be disturbed and upset and confused at the end of the book.
Yeah.
You judge a book by what the author's intention was. If you come out of the book confused and upset and off your thing because it's not like the other Strike novels that you really liked, and that was the author's intention, then the book is a phenomenal success. Yeah. And you have to give her full marks for it. That's what we're arguing, that Hallmarked Man is the setup for the last 2 books of the series and is the essentially confusing point in it. You don't get all of these people, this, this runway of previous people that come, this walk on the set here. This, an introduction of new characters that are so fully written that you just can't believe that they're one-offs.
No.
I can't believe that Dino Lancaster is not going to be featured in, it's too good. All right, Fiona, I know it's early. You haven't had breakfast yet.
No, it's all right.
Thank you for getting up. Thank you for sharing with us all these ideas. I love really featuring the brilliant readers that we have on the site that come up with these ideas. We're going to have Tamara on soon. We've got to have Tamara on because the problem with Tamara is going through all of the things that she's come up with. In just, I mean, it's
we're going to have to do a top 3 or a top 5 or a top 10, I think.
Yeah. And Fiona, you said you're working on something, so please.
Oh, yeah.
I'll let you know. Yep.
Okay.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, John.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.